What's up, guys? Time to show off a new build. This one is a full cerakoted BioHazard build, pilot style. I believe this is a V3 version 3. I'll have to look as I upload it. It's either V3 or V5, but I'm pretty sure it's V3. Full cerakote, predominantly in titanium, but also you've got your highlights in silver. So Atlas bezel in silver, sides of the case in silver, sides of the link band and portions of the clasp. So the main head of it is done in titanium, but your backside and your double lock clasp is done in silver, more of a matte kind of silver. Dial is custom lasered out. You got your BioHazard logo there at 12. Did a black set of V24 hands, the long loom seconds hand, BioHazard engraved crown, and milled caseback. You can see we did the titanium on the caseback, and we did the silver on the caseback ring. And that's pretty much the build. Obviously, engraving here as well. I've been trying to do this when I can remember, putting the same logo in the bottom corner if it makes sense. So just being a little bit extra. These are push pins. They might look like they've got a line in them for like a small screwdriver. That's just the fold over piece. So you go to the recessed area and tap it through with a punch. And then make sure when you put them back together, you feed that tapered end in the same direction and tap it, and it won't go as far, and it will leave that recessed area once more. You just tap this side flat. And that's just the fold over section. So there's arrows on here. There should be. Can I see them? Ooh, you can't see them. There are no arrows. That was a lie. You just find the recessed areas and just tap them down. So they're just opposite each other. Here and then here. And that is your build. This was one of those super cool, I don't remember what color this was. I think this was brass colored before. But it's a solid bezel insert. So what we can do with that is bead blast it and then dual cerakote it. We do it in one pass in silver, so the whole thing is silver, and we bake it and lock it in. Then we do the whole thing in titanium, so now the whole thing's titanium. But instead of baking it, we then use something similar to brake oil or brake clean and remove it from the raised areas, which are your numbers that are sticking up, you can see. Removing that titanium from it, and then we bake it in. So that's how that works. And then the dial is custom lasered to give you kind of that brushed look to it before we cerakoted it. So it came out pretty awesome. Bezel will turn left, it'll turn right. It is on with a tension ring. These are bi-directional bezels, just head on with the tension ring. Now they are a little bit tighter because you have your cerakote and you have your cerakote that it's rubbing it against and creating a little bit more friction there. And then I went with obviously hours because you've got your minutes there on the dial. You do have your interior hours on here as well. If you look real close, they're in there. Automatic mechanical, you've got a rotor in the back. You just cannot see it, so as you move, it will keep time throughout the day. It's got a 31 hour power reserve. Normally these go about 35, 36 hours when I wind them up and set them down, but it's a 31 hour plus power reserve on the automatic movement. What you want to do is, if you're not going to be active or you pick it up and it is dead, make sure you wind it a little bit. Don't just set the time and put it on your wrist and hope that you're going to move enough to keep time. So you're going to back the crown off the threads until you hear it and feel it clicking. You got to make sure it comes up off that. Sometimes it will kind of sit on that last ring for a second. You'll know what I mean. And over time that will go away. There's just a little bit of cerakote on there and it will get itself you know, kind of worked itself in. So I'll probably just screw this back down. Sometimes it only takes a couple times. Oh, felt it there still. I might drop a tiny bit of gun oil right there. That one didn't catch, but I'm going to put a tiny drop of gun oil, which is technically what you do if you ever scratch the Cerakote. It will kind of blend it in, as long as it's a surface scratch. If you scratch it down to the silver, you know, this is abrasion resistant and all, but you can we don't want to drip, because that is a lot. We just want it to, there we go, got it right there. That's perfect. Other than a tiny bit of remnant of gun oil on the outside. All right. You'll back the crown off the threads. Should pop right off like it did, because that gun oil now helps. To hear it and feel it clicking, at that point you can wind. And a wind is a turn that way. Turning it towards you doesn't wind it, but it is a lot easier to keep your finger spacing and go back and forth. This is a wind, that's not a wind, wind, not a wind. Go back and forth. 4 or 5 seconds of this. Do it for another 5 seconds, you're going to max out your 31-hour plus power reserve on it. When you're good with your winding, you're going to pull it to the 1 and only click, and you can now set your time. It does not have a hacking movement, so it's going to keep going on you. You'll also notice you've got a wobble crown in here. This deflects lateral pressure against the movement, and the keyless works. So when you're pushing and prying on it, you're not putting any adverse pressure on those. Okay, Google, what time is it?
It's 2:37 p.m.
2:37 p.m. Push it over, get it out of that time setting, and then wind it all the way down. And that is the build. If it's going to you, congrats. Appreciate your support. It's coming with matching beads. This is also going to come in one of my new custom-made slider boxes, and one of my new Atlas-style pillows. I don't really have a BioHazard themed fabric, so there's the watch pillow there. This is going to come with watch cleaner. This is a foamer that's good on all glass and metal, so this watch as a whole, non-streaking, non-toxic, non-residue, as well as a microfiber. And it's also going to come with fine scratch remover. This is Novus 2 from Amazon, just repackaged. It's like Polywatch. It's for your acrylic glass because you can't scratch it. But if you do, you'll put a tiny bit of this on it and buff it out using your color matching microfiber. Just if the scratch is up and down, just go left and right, filling that scratch, haze it, buff it out, and it should be gone. As I referenced before, if you scratch the Cerakote and it's just on the surface, use some gun oil. That would normally mask it decently. Kind of similar to when you see those car products where they're like, oh, you got a scratch in your car and you can just put this on it and now your scratch is gone. Well, your scratch really isn't gone. It's kind of like sealing it a little bit, or it's kind of like blending in with that clear coat. And gun oil does something. I'm not going to explain that I know what it does. I just know that my Cerakote guy says, if you ever get a scratch in there, use some gun oil. That should relatively cover it, mask it over, so long as it's not like a gouge. So I liken it to those products where the same thing happens to your vehicle, but it's just clear coat. So, but that's the build. As I said before, if it's going to you, thank you a ton. I appreciate you. I hope you love it. And if you want me to build you something custom and unique, reach out and I'll see what I can do. And if you want to continue to see videos like this, like and subscribe as I put them up all the time. Thanks, guys.